beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Vitamin G. Vitamin G. Got what you need.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone.
Vitamin G, got what you need. Vitamin G, got what you need.
All alone.
Vitamin G. Discussing that heat in the street, and we got just what you need on Vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Vitamin G.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone. All alone. I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone.
Vitamin G, got what you need. Vitamin G, got what
All
you need.
alone.
Vitamin G. Ay. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Vitamin G. Vitamin G. Got what you need.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone.
Vitamin G, got what you need. Vitamin G, got what you need.
All alone.
Vitamin G. Hey, final round. I already know how I'm coming, man. Yeah. Tryna run the town. Tell no duck when they hear that sound. How they gon' come up now? Heavy as the head that'll wear that crown. I'm going pound for pound. And if it's about smoke, then we toke all of that. from an ounce to a pound. Take it, they biting this now. Cause my drip right out the seat. How could they be? Give me a couple of rounds. Cause I'm a beast when I'm on vitamin G. You see, they start crumbling now. Mad struck, start mumbling now. Get the gist, I ain't reaching for cloud. Plot twist, I'm the one with the keys. Clock glitz, know they look half freeze. Different continents, I be torn. We living life, making yours look boring. See, we win at the end, it's a spoiler warning. Cause I keep heating up, I might blow the whole planet. They calling me toxic like global warming. But they keep tuning in once again and again. I'm the one at the top, just to form a warning. Truly, I'm De Niro when it come to movies. Get De Niro, entertain the groupies. Habanero if you come pursue me. But I hop on the gang, too busy rolled up whenever my girl getting moody. Link up with the gang, we all go insane. Catching them bills on the duty. On the stick, see I'm locked in. Bought a box, I was like 10. Back then, used to box, nowadays they ain't throwing hands. Mama said we got more advanced. One thing about me, I adapt, bought a Glock fin. Keep me safe from the block in. The game kept me off the block. Ain't got flex about looting my Ruger. I can shit on you with my computer. See my graphics card costs more than your damn job can afford to pay you. And my monitor, big as hell, detail, so I can see when I spray you. To reload the clip and record the clip is go all say to that SSD. Know a whole lot of trill game heads like me wanna see tune into that VGP. Take over the west and the east, and we got just what you need on vitamin G.
Indiana Jones movies?
The Power Rangers.
Anyway, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dante Crisis back with another weekly dose of the vitamin G. And Mute Dante is the best Dante. Okay, can we get a timeout for Media Ghost? And with me, because I've been listening to an artist called Artificial Fear who does great video game covers, and he's a big Legend of Zelda fan. Today, I am with the Legend of Zelda collection of podcasters. First of all, thank you, by the way, for whoever deleted that. First of all, we have the... okay, you know what? We got the Ocarina of Time of the gaming community, Mr. Zero. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh wow, I feel like that's more like reserved for Kofi when he comes back because everybody loves Kofi. But I am well, man. Like, doing pretty good. Got in a lot of gaming this past weekend, or week, if you will. Although it's mostly been a lot of service games in Yakuza. I am heavy into multiverses. I got back into Fall Guys, and I played Rumbleverse, which is for anyone who doesn't have a sense of what Rumbleverse is, think Fortnite but with actual physical fighting. So like you're physically attacking people. It's kind of clever. A lot of the moves are like straight up wrestling moves. So there is like the Emerald Cutter, or because I don't think they call it the Stunner, but it's a stunner.
It's the
Diamond Cutter.
No. In this game, it's the Emerald Cutter.
Okay, but hold on.
Instead of the diamond. Okay,
but does he sit down on his ass or go flat on his back?
I couldn't tell you. I wasn't paying that much attention. Only because like everything is like exaggerated.
Okay, the reason why I say that is because if it's called the Emerald Cutter, it would make sense that it is if it's a reference. I'm actually gonna look this up because I'm very, very fucking curious. What game is it called?
Rumbleverse.
Okay, Rumbleverse. Because the reason why the reason why is because if it's flat on his back, it would make sense that it's more of a it's a homage to Diamond Dallas Page, who had a move called the Diamond Cutter.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's exactly where it came from.
But so that's why I was asking, because if it was on his ass, it's a stunner. But if it's flat on his back, then it's definitely a Diamond Cutter.
Oh no, yeah, there's a whole nother stunner move. I just can't remember the name of it. And there are different levels to it. So I think it's like Emerald Cutter, Ruby Cutter. I just don't think they ever officially use Diamond, because I wouldn't be surprised.
No, so they don't use Diamond at the end. Gotcha.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Diamond is owned by Vince McMahon in some shape or fashion.
Maybe. All right, I'm looking, because that video was way too long to find it, but please continue.
But other than that, I recommend people to play Rumbleverse. It takes a little getting used to, because there's this sort of rock, paper, scissor mechanic that you got to get used to between punches, grabs, and dodges. But once you kind of get into it, like, there's no greater feeling than like getting your super and like spinning pile drivering somebody from like off a building. It's an absolute wonderful time. And the games, they run pretty quickly. There's still some, I think, stuff they got to work out. And, it's your usual free-to-play affair. So there's a battle pass. There was costumes. This battle pass kind of sucks because there is no way to earn the premium by just playing for free. So that's unfortunate. But, it's free. Give it a try. I believe Epic makes it. I believe it's the same Fortnite folks, because it has similar aesthetic. Otherwise, still rolling through Yakuza like a dragon, having an absolute blast with it. I love the idea of the job system and how it works in this game, where it's just like, I don't know, they seem to have taken everything that JRPGs are and just like slotted them into a more quote unquote real life situation, as real as Yakuza could be. But it's cool that some of the jobs are just idle and hostess or just policeman, as opposed to like, knight or mage or black mage or white mage. So I'm absolutely loving it. It's great. I don't know how far I am. On my PlayStation card, it says like 53%. So I guess I'm halfway through. So I'll probably
slow
be
you
done
are,
with
you're
it.
probably not. You're probably like 30% the way through.
Hey, I've
Like
been
story.
really focused on this one and actually like pushing through. Because you're right. If it was any other game, I'd be halfway. I put Persona 5 on hold so I could finish this up.
Why? Why would you do that?
I just have a problem.
I believe it. I believe it. All right. I'm still trying to find this Emerald Cutter, because like I saw it in a short, but I can't blow up the short to show people. Actually, let me. No, the problem is YouTube Shorts you can't full screen, and I deal with that just so I can show it. But yeah, it is straight up a DDP Diamond Cutter. Like, it is straight up just that, and I kind of love it. And this game, looking at it, I'm actually really interested in this game right now.
It's really kind of fun, man. Like, you'll run into a little bit of like, oh my god, I can't believe I lost that quickly type of energy. But it's a good time. Again, just punching and grabbing and slamming people off of buildings is really fun.
Yeah. All right, and next onto the list, we have the Link's Awakening of the group, Mr. Jubei Sensei. How are you today, my friend?
He's on time.
No, I'm not on time. I just got off my my new gig. It's been a really fun, hectic day. But yeah, it's like fucking an hour a fucking way, so it's a bitch of a drive, but I'm here. Probably what I've been playing. Of course, I've been playing that Dragon Ball update in Fortnite. I need to hurry.
Does Goku, Vegeta, Bulma, and Beerus really run around packing heat? I gotta know.
Yes.
They even find Kamehameha.
Yes, he does. Anybody can fire it, though. It's an item you can pick up. But if you've seen the memes where, it's like Goku with the gun saying, delete this, that's that shit in real life now. This shit is hilarious. It's a lot of fun. The Kamehameha is like a one-hitter quitter if you can nail somebody with it.
Yeah, I was about to say, it seems like something you've got to nail somebody with.
It's probably like the best mythic they've ever put in the game because, like I said, if you can
For the most
line
part,
somebody-
everyone I've seen hit it, they nail it.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, it's mad fun. What else have I been playing? Halo. I got to finish that damn entrenched event tonight.
Found it. I
I'm
found the
already
damn Kotor.
excited. Yeah, I finished that battle pass a while ago, so I'm not really playing Halo right now. And what else? I don't think anything else, man. Like, been a really low key week, just getting ready for this new job. So hopefully I can normalize a little bit and actually get back to having some fun.
All right, cool. Next, the Minish cap of the crew. Mr. Ferrabazar, what have you been up to, my guy?
New Madden came out this week, so just a lot of that, and yeah, that's about it. I missed out on the MCS tournament because we had a busy weekend with the family, but other than that, yeah, just been chilling.
All right, cool. And now the Zelda, the Faces of Evil of the group, Mr. Omar, how are you doing today?
I know that it, but okay. I'm fine. I'm playing right now, Bloodstained, and I took almost like a mini break from Trials of Mana. I'm having a blast with that game, but kind of a little bit overpowered, so I took a break a little bit, and I'm playing now, Bloodstained. And that's about it.
All right, cool. And then we have me, the Majora's Mask of the group, which I don't have my Majora's Mask hat. So yeah,
That's a hated game. They hate it. They used to, at least.
yeah. Back in the early 2000s or like
Yeah,
the late 90s, it's considered one of the best Legend of Zelda games of all goddamn time right now. A lot of people put it over Ocarina of Time, my man.
It had the same treatment that what's the one in the ocean?
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker had when people first saw it. They was like, "What the hell is this?" And then as time got on, it's like, "Oh, this is an excellent game."
Yeah, it's the reverse Breath of the Wild, where people were so hyped up about it and like sucked its dick for like the first initial months, and then as time went on, they realized, you know what, this is really fucking barren, and there's so much shit to do. But no, like I've been playing some VR games, been playing some other games. I don't want to give away what I've been playing because I want it to be a surprise for a couple of people. But there's been some good, some. Alright, bear with us, guys. I'm pretty sure we're back. At least I hope we are. You know what? I got a question. Why the fuck I'm paying this much?
No issues.
Hello. Okay, I'm back. I'm back in the Discord as well. You know, I got a question why I'm paying this goddamn much for my fucking internet when
Who do you have?
Virgin Media. The problem is this only just recently fucking started happening once we upgraded our package.
Yeah. Demand better, Dante. Demand better.
Oh, I'm fucking going to. This is now the second time it's happened during the podcast, and now it's but the problem is it's now the fourth time in less than 14 days that my internet has just dropped like this so badly.
Call up Richard Branson.
Did you ask them to check it?
What?
Did you ask them to check on it?
We're gonna fucking call them tomorrow about it.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure I fucking call them. Anyway, so yes, I've been playing some Fireteam Elite. I'm gonna start over because I don't know where people heard off. Been playing some Fireteam Elite. Jubei was there watching. I hope it convinced him that it's actually a decent game to play. They're releasing some new DLC this Wednesday, this 30th, which is gonna add some new missions. Hopefully, it's substantial. I've been playing I played some GTFO today. That was fun. If not a little infuriating because I was playing with Deadman and oh, I love you, Deadman, but my god, do you suck at following orders sometimes. And I was playing some Sea of Thieves recently as well. That's fun. Except when you come across some toxic motherfuckers who just seem to come out the woodwork now more than ever for some reason. Been testing some Doom 3 as well. Persona 4 Golden. Fucking ace game. Loving it. What else have I been playing? Finished Gears 5 on Insane as well. Fuck doing that on Inconceivable because I'm clearly a masochist, but I'm not that much of a fucking masochist. And what else? Some Phasmophobia, and that's about it from me. So let's just move on to the first topic. And ladies and gentlemen, PlayStation's been sued. Somebody gonna get sued. Alright. Well, I think you're gonna need a bit more. You're gonna need a bit more than that. So, this is the article from Eurogamer. Accused of anti-competitive strategy, that's industry standard. So they're being sued for $5 billion. So Sony is being sued for $5 billion, accused of ripping people off on its online store. The legal claim is led by ex-managing director of Which UK Alex Neil, and was filed with the Competition Appeal Tribunal last week. It claims by charging a 30% commission for digital games and in-game purchases on the PlayStation Store, Sony is in breach of competition law. Sony is accused of abusing market power by imposing unfair terms and conditions on game developers and publishers, forcing prices up for consumers. $70 games, y'all. Reports Sky News. The legal action states consumers are being overcharged by as much as $5 billion. Anyone in the UK who has purchased content in the store since the 19th of August 2016 is included in the claim and is potentially entitled to compensations said to be 9 million people. That would put estimate damages per client to around £67 to £562, excluding interest. The 30% cut from Sony is an industry standard in line with other games companies like Microsoft, Steam, and the App Store. It's unclear why exactly Sony is the sole target of the claim. The game is up for Sony, said Neil. With this legal action, I am standing up for the millions of UK people who have been unwillingly overcharged. We believe Sony has abused its position and ripping off its consumers. Gaming is now the biggest entertainment industry in the UK, ahead of TV, video, and music, and many vulnerable people rely on gaming of community and connection. The actions of Sony is costing millions of people who can't afford it, particularly when we're in the middle of the cost of living crisis and the consumer purse is being squeezed like never before. The website PlayStation You Owe Us has also been set up for a campaign against Sony. Eurogamer has contacted Sony for comment. It's a tough case to bring. Richard Hugh, host of the video games industry legal podcast Virtual Legality, told Eurogamer. First, you have the issue of each individual transaction was voluntarily made at the price offered. Second, that the prices largely mirrored those across the industry at the time. Third, these are intermittently pricing. That the intermittently pricing, like 30% cut, was also mirrored by market participants at the time. Fourth, that although the 30% argument mirrors Epics in Epic versus Apple, you have a lot of luggage in a case attempting to disintegrate. What's that word? Digest the console market. Though such luggage is not controlling and may not even be persuasive. Fifth, and there's no indication that a charge to a 30% cut actually would affect the bottom line consumers facing pricing. And there's no indication that it wouldn't see the Epic Game Store. 6, and because the 30% was established before the market controlling position, you have an issue establishing that it is anti-competitive price. Now on the other side, the politics of digital pricing have is very much an issue. Goddamn, Jubei, turn your damn microphone off.
Oh, my bad.
The politics of digital pricing is very much an issue that has proven to be of interest to legislators, including in Europe. So it may be an environment that things are more open to being re-examined from perspectives distinct from the ones I've articulated. A similar case in the US was recently dismissed, where Sony was accused of anti-competitive acts by controlling the PlayStation Store, as reported by Bloomberg. Right, so a lot to unpack there. Yeah, so the European courts, the European courts as well as the UK, are a lot more harsh on this shit than America, because a lot of
Where the fuck have they been? I've been paying for 70 euro the entire time, and people been paying $60. Like, also, why is it PlayStation only when it's literally an industry thing?
Because they're the market leader. If
Yes.
you go to the market leader, then you can then tell the other,
That's good.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely right. In my opinion, they're mainly going after Sony to set an example. Like, Sony is the low-hanging fruit of the games industry, given the fact that they are the quote-unquote market leader. So going after them sets precedent, because this is not. I guarantee you, this is a case that they want to win, but it's less of a case of the result. It's more of establishing a precedent, because once you set the precedent, then the snowball starts rolling. Like a lot.
Yeah, they're losing with this one. They're losing.
I wouldn't turn around and say that they're losing. Like, here's the thing. Like, there is precedent to this argument. There is precedent to this argument.
Isn't the Apple Epic situation fairly similar?
But that was in the US. That's the difference.
Yeah, that's just different court systems.
Exactly. But that's why I'm saying that to outright turn around and say that this is dead and dusted immediately is kind of asinine, because it's going against a different group who believe in different things. Like, here's the thing. Let's be absolutely fair. Even though a lot of these politicians I'm not saying that it's exclusive to the US system, because God forbid there is some of that in the UK as well as the European courts. But, like, in the US, it's a lot more prevalent to the fact that they might as well be wearing NASCAR fucking jackets with their sponsors on it. But there's a lot more open lobbying, as well as a lot more money being exchanged behind the scenes to make sure things like this get struck down in the US system. Where in the European system, they're a lot more anal about that kind of stuff. For example, recently, a more recent example of that kind of thing, about them going after big tech, is about the European the European courts going after Apple, when they turn around and said, "You see that fast charger shit that you've got going on? Yeah, get rid of that, ixnay, because now we want an industry standard where everybody's going to be using USB-Cs to eliminate e-waste."
Did the UK courts did they win on that essentially?
Yes.
For Apple? Interesting. Okay, because I know
that wasn't. By the way, that wasn't necessarily just a UK thing. That was a European thing. Like, that
Excuse me, European, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
no. Listen, that wasn't a case of this is going to the court. This is them turning around and saying, you are doing this, or you are losing business.
Right. No, I was asking just because I don't think it made it through here in the States.
No, what they're saying is that it's most likely gonna. It doesn't make sense to make two different types of phones. So it's not.
Yeah. I think I guess what I was coming to, and I
To
think it leans to what Dante was saying
in the
in the sense of
guise.
like,
Sorry, just let me explain. In the guise of to cut back on e-waste, electronic waste, they basically demanded that Apple start using USB-C charging.
no, I understand what they were
Oh no,
doing.
no, I'm explaining to the audience.
Oh yeah, what I was asking is like, is this part of this a result of just like the UK courts being a bit more stringent?
Oh
Then,
yeah,
because
yeah,
this
no,
got
absolutely.
brought up in America, but like it hit the whole talking point scene and it kind of died.
Yeah, no, it is. It's in my opinion, and this isn't a we better than you kind of thing. This is a case of like because you have so many companies, so many countries consolidated into a conglomeration known as the European Union. Even though some things don't tend to get done when their mind's set on something, they usually end up pushing that fucker through really harshly.
Gotcha.
And they don't mind going after motherfuckers. Like I said, they went after Apple, and it would not surprise me if this does end up having a little legs. Even if it doesn't win, there is the potential that, again, like this article says, even if it doesn't necessarily win, this is going to put it in the eyes of all of these legislators in Europe and in the UK, who are going to look at it with brand new eyes. Like another good example of it would be the another example actually of the Europeans of Europeans being a lot more harsher on this. Remember the whole loot box thing? And you had companies like the majority of people who were either banning them or straight out actually making differences were European countries. I think it was Belgium. Like one country
Belgium,
outright banned
Netherlands.
them. Either Belgium outright banned them, or they straight out turned around and said, you need to release the stats. Like every single debt needs to have a percentage underneath it of what the percentages is that you can win it by. I think that was more specific to FIFA cards as well. So yeah, no, I wouldn't say. I would say this is win or lose. Win or lose, this is most likely going to be a win. So even if they lose, there's going to be some form of win because it's going to have their eyes on. It's going to put fresh eyes on this inside of the European Council. But also, you know, again, this is less of a Sony thing and more of a example thing. Like we're not going after Sony because Sony is the only one doing this. We're going after Sony because that's the one that's they're the ones who are going to be the biggest example in the industry. So anyway, Jubei, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like I said, it's about going after the big fish. Like you wouldn't go after the not market leader for something like this because at that point it's like, what did you really do if you don't go anywhere? When you go at like the head of a supposed problem, like you said, you're putting eyes on it. So this they might lose in court, and have no grounds, but that won't stop, say, legislators from being like, hey, this is an issue. So we're gonna have to curb that particular 30% commission there. Like you might not get, like we as consumers might not with that, but we might win in the long run. With like a law or something from some country doing something like that. Now that's really what it's about. Like it's I don't want to call it a frivolous lawsuit, but it's more of a lawsuit to invoke change versus to actually try to collect monetary damages. Because I'm pretty sure they know they're not going to get that.
It's a martyr case.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're wasting money for marketing.
All right, well, we'll get
marketing, martyr. Like
they're
taking...
like they are Jesus on the proverbial cross. Like yes, he might have done some things, but he did more after his death than he did during his life. Like yes, they might get because like okay. Let me fully example that. Like Jesus' voice was heard, their voice will be heard in this court case. But even if they lose, like Jesus being nailed to the cross, like there'll be more change after the loss than the actual procession leading up to that loss. That makes sense. That's why
I'm
you say
all for
it's a martyr
change,
cost.
but
You what?
I am all for change, but I don't expect it to work.
Then what would work?
For the industry to change the price of what's called what do you call that?
Industry doesn't have incentive to change it unless a bigger entity wants them to change it.
And we ain't, and no offense, the gaming community ain't exactly fucking helping Mr. $70 game.
I'm saying, like, you can't be picky and choosy with your battles here. You can't be like, oh yeah, $70 games good, but these DLCs are bad. Like, you gotta stand on all of it.
Zero, your thoughts on this?
So I apologize. I am not a legalese type of person here. So as I'm reading and then as I'm listening to you, Dante, it's
stumbling my way through it, mind you.
It's fine. I got the general gist of it all. But so it seems to me, and I could be wrong here, that there seems to be kind of two issues here. Because the first is that 30% commission, which like that's the Apple Epic thing.
Yes.
And then the second is wrapped in the idea that because as far as I can tell, I don't actually know. All digital purchases for Sony have to go through Sony. There is no other way to do it.
It's the same. It's the same with everybody else, though. It's the same with Nintendo. It's the same with Microsoft. It's the same with Epic. It's the same with Apple. Like it's all predominantly the same. If you want to buy microtransactions, there is a commission that goes to these to these companies to buy them. So like for example, if you go on Call of Duty, if you play Call of Duty, you want to buy COD points, like they're the same price across the board because each of these companies is taking a slice off the top.
Right. And so in the Apple Epic thing, Epic was saying, I don't want to give Apple 30%. You can just come to our store and buy it from us directly.
Yes, that was effectively.
And then Apple was like blah blah blah. So, but there does not seem to be that issue. I mean, doesn't seem to be possible, or none of the other companies are doing it with Sony. So
you can't even buy like shit secondhand from you can't buy digital shit secondhand. I can't go to CD Keys and buy a PlayStation game. They're not there.
You can at least buy digital items from other stores, like from Xbox and stuff like that. Like you have an option. There's third-party stores.
But they're in the legal gray area. Like that's something that needs to be remembered.
What I'm saying is, Sony doesn't have that though. They don't have. You can't go to a third party for anything regarding them. That's a little bit of a difference.
Are we talking games or are we talking in-game purchases? Because this is also including in-game purchases.
Like digital content and stuff, like just in general. Like I mean, in-game purchases, of course not. But like, there's like you can buy, like you can go to like Best Buy or GameStop and buy like digital items, like codes, and then
What do you mean?
Like if I wanted to buy something digitally on Xbox, I can go to GameStop and buy that digital item. They give me a code, I take it home.
Oh, you can do that in the UK for PC, for PS4, PlayStation. You can do that here. Yeah,
you can just go and buy what's called a $20 PlayStation, and then
no, it isn't. It isn't even that. He's talking about specifically a code for that game, like a digital code for that game specifically, not a digital code.
We don't have it.
We
we don't have that here. I don't think.
Pretty goddamn sure we do have that in the UK with game. Like you can get digital codes for at the store for games. I'm pretty goddamn sure.
I don't believe so. I think that was something that was an argument that they were arguing last year when it came to PlayStation. I might be wrong, but
I thought there was something they weren't giving codes anymore.
Yeah, it was somewhere like they like your only option to buy PlayStation items is through the PlayStation Store. You can't that was one of the issues because then it's like you control the price. There's no competition. There was a lawsuit about that, I believe, like a year ago.
I'll look
Yeah,
it
but
up. I was pretty
I'm
sure.
on
Secretly
Amazon
fixed.
right now. You can't get a PS5 digital copy of Elden Ring off of Amazon. Doesn't exist.
Oh yeah.
I can get an Xbox copy though.
Uh,
Doesn't exist at all.
okay.
You can't get it anywhere but going on to
But
the
the
PlayStation Store. And
PlayStation Store.
Yeah.
And Elden Ring is a third-party game.
it sure fucking is.
Yeah. Looking into
okay.
it, I was wrong. So that might have ceased. But I do recall at one point you could buy digital. You could buy a digital card for a game. Like you would.
I'm 100% positive you're right. I think they took it away.
Shut that shit down.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, and so in that point, I kind of agree. As usual, I don't know if the reasoning I think isn't that great. Like it's good, but we haven't gotten to the point where
I found an online store where you can buy the digital keys.
Mhm.
I have found an online store where you can buy PSN keys. It's a European site, but yeah, I found one. They got ones like Uncharted, the PS5. Yeah, there's PS5 ones there as well.
interesting.
I'm not gonna show it due to the possible legality of this, because again, a lot of these CD key websites are in a marketable gray area when it comes to reselling keys. So I'm not gonna put anybody on blast, but I will link you guys into the Twitter to this website. But no, like I'm looking at this, and they do have, like, they've got Gran Turismo 7 on here for a digital version. They've got the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection on here, Back for Blood, Ghost of Tsushima, Death Stranding Director's Cut, Neo 2 Remastered, Returnal. I mean, they're ridiculously fucking marked up prices, because that's 77 fucking euro for 77 fucking euro for Returnal. So fuck off.
They had to pay full price at the Sony store to get the code to throw it up.
Yeah.
They got it somehow.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad you brought that up, Dante, because I guess like the more I think about it, the more I lean on this sort of idea. For me personally, there definitely should be a way to buy. The PlayStation Store should not be the only way to buy these digital games, right? Like Amazon versus the website you brought up, I think is the very key difference in like where gaming really it has been for quite some time, but where a lot of people still see it, particularly like gamers, where like nobody bats an eye. It's like just go to CD Keys or go to the site that Dante mentioned and like go grab your codes there. Because that we've been like piecemealing and like working behind the shadows and like jerry rigging things since forever with video games. So when we talk about the $70 price, it's like just wait for the sale. It always goes on sale type of energy. But when it comes to that legal side of the billion-dollar industry, people are looking at it very differently and are not coming in with the whole like, oh, there are all these loopholes you can jump through to make this worthwhile for this luxury item. They're coming and saying, well, hey, we're viewing this like any other consumer product. And if we're going to hold other consumer products to that standard, we're going to start looking at you, video game industry, to this standard. And it's, we've operated largely in the dark for a long time, despite how much money the industry has been kicking out. But like now video games are the largest entertainment industry there is.
In the UK, it's without question it is.
Yeah. So
I think worldwide it is too.
Yeah,
worldwide, as far as like gross dollars, I think it outpaced the music and
movie industry,
video industry. Yeah.
It's making a lot of money, but
so it's like, you will no longer be ignored. And with that comes the sort of eyeballs that you're not used to. I don't know particularly where this lawsuit is. One, because I am not a European citizen, I have no sense of like how the courts operate in this space. Two, though, what I would like to see is that there is some level of precedent or normalcy set in what is effectively the Wild Wild West. Because you're right. I think I should be able to go on Amazon and get a digital code for Elden Ring and then play it on my PlayStation. It's not. It shouldn't matter the fact that as long as I have a PlayStation, you can just boot it up and buy it, whether I can buy it through my phone. I should not be limited to one digital storefront, particularly for a game that you don't even own. Maybe the arguments can be made for stuff like God of War and Uncharted, sure, but for games you don't own, I don't know if that's the case. And the Epic Apple thing was a huge shining light on the industry because Epic said, I just don't want to pay you this 30%. Now it's always hard to choose sides and when two billion-dollar companies go up against each other, but Epic did have a little bit of a point here. Like, why am I paying you? They can just come to us and do it there, and they should be able to if they want to.
Yeah, being that it's on multiple platforms, it's not restricted to a single platform, and your account is you can pick up where you left off on your Switch or whatever on Fortnite, I believe, right?
Yeah, you can go everywhere. Like, yeah, your account travels everywhere. With
so you're not limited. So it's like, why are you limited with your purchasing?
Yeah.
So
that's it. Like, there just should be various ways for anyone. Again, and I think a key part might come down to this: for everyone's games that aren't yours. Like, if it's not yours, I don't really know how you get to set that level of like control, right? Like, that would be like, wouldn't it be weird if like Steam was the only place to get certain games? And not because like the person only made the game for Steam, but like you got to go through the Steam store to get this. Period. And it's like, well, what if I don't want to use? What if I want to use Windows or Epic or any of the other ones? It's like I don't know if it should just be an open market store. If I go to get shoes, there are various places I can go get shoes. I don't have to go to one place to go get them. And Amazon being the big equalizer in this entire thing, I would imagine, I'm not a lawyer, so like I don't know, but let me just throw out. I've watched a lot of Law and Order, so let me throw out my best guesses here. If it's not on Amazon, that's a huge red flag. If it's not able to be done by basically the world's largest online retailer, that's probably a pretty big red flag because there's basically almost nothing I can't get on Amazon, even if it's in the store physically.
What's weird? Okay, so what's weird? Now, I don't know if this is just the pricing of it right now. Actually, to be fair, it is probably just a discount right now. But I was just curious about because Jubei bought up the Elden Ring scenario. So I got curious. Yeah, they do have an Elden Ring digital download code for Elden Ring for Xbox for £50. Jesus Christ, why is it still so goddamn much? But then I scrolled down and saw the PS5 version, physical, not digital, was actually cheaper.
Right.
But that is current. But it looks like that's currently on quote unquote discount. But then again, the thing is with Amazon, their discounts like when the weird thing is with Amazon, when they say it's a discount, like it's kind of a two-pronged thing. It might be a discount, but they might just be saying it's a discount to entice people to buy it when that's actually just the normal price to begin with, and it's just always discounted.
Can they lie like that?
Yeah, they have done it.
Yeah, they skirt the line of truth because Walmart is famous for doing it. Where
they raise the price and then say it's at a discount.
Yeah, so basically it's meant to be £60, so basically $70. But at a certain point, they'll discount it to what it is right now, which is £47. But it will be like that it's probably been like that for like the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. And then they just decide to, it's a cheaper price. Like, no, it's not.
Or discount it even more later on.
Yeah. So another one I looked up, Madden, the new Madden, no digital code for the PS5. And not only I can go to Origin for PC, I can go to Steam for PC for digital code, I can go to Xbox One, Xbox Series S and digital code, but no PlayStation. And that does question why. And then it does, I guess, raise the idea of like, are you having a quote unquote monopoly? Which like isn't a bad word, it's just a factual word. it is up to courts and however it is when it becomes, is it a monopoly and anti-competitive? That people start to pay attention. And I think this is the question that they're answering or asking. And, I don't know where it goes. What I'd hope is that it does put PlayStation games or did PlayStation games on digital storefronts outside of their own.
But but again, looking at the grander scheme of things with this lawsuit, I'm hoping it does put a spotlight on the fact that, all of these companies do this 30% thing, not just on digital sales of like games, but also in-game purchases. So that's the reason why a lot of these microtransactions are so fucking expensive. Like, for example, I'll turn around and say I like Sea of Thieves, but sometimes the fucking pricing on some of the ship designs is fucking ridiculous. Like, I'm not paying...
That microtransaction?
I'm not paying £18 for fucking for the look of a ship. I'm just not.
Yeah, and like battle passes have not fixed that. There's a small amount. I think there's a small handful of battle passes where I could say if you go through the free to play model, you could inevitably earn enough.
But the problem is these
currency.
But again, these are full price games. These are games that you pay for, not free games. Like
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Like Sea of Thieves and Call of Duty, like they've got all of these high fucking marked up prices. Which in Activision's case, I'm absolutely certain is just because they want to mark it up that goddamn high. But I'm sure there is a little bit of influence of it having to be on. Because here's the thing, let's use this as a hypothetical. Let's just say it was just Sony doing the 30% price hike. Even if it was just Sony, it would affect everybody because you can't have say you buy 2,000 COD points for £20. Like. You can't just have it just there because then that reflects badly on the PlayStation side. So you'd have to do it for fucking everybody.
It's a standard instead of letting everyone sort of set their own thing.
Yeah.
Which is effectively what Epic, at least, I don't know, they still could have charged the same price, but it sounded like that's what Epic was trying to do with Apple. They were like, listen, you pushing up this 30% premium. Why? They should just come to our store and buy it, and we don't have to jack up the prices. I don't know if that's how they're going to ever take this, but I agree with you. Like that, it sets a standard that everyone has to follow, and effectively, we're sort of the only ones who suffer for it.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to see from this, but my personal win, hopefully, would be that PlayStation games wind up on other digital storefronts. I intellectually, I think I know why it's not, but then I just like, well, but why not? And it was. I'm positive there was a time where it was.
And they Sony wants that money.
Yes, and so like when you took it away,
they all want that money again. Again, it's an
everything company does, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's their reasoning. They want that money. It's that simple. It ain't nothing, fluffy and cute about it. They want all the profit. They don't want you to go to Best Buy or GameStop or Amazon or whatever.
When you literally control most of the console sets and also game sales, you're gonna do something like that. But you're not the leader.
That's not necessarily the case. I mean, if we're being realistic, Switch is the market leader.
No, PlayStation is.
No,
I mean. Even market leader or not,
Switch is the market leader in their own lane. But
they make a game console. They have the highest.
Switch doesn't get most of the multiplat. That's where the money is. So that's why they can't be the market leader. How are you going to be the market leader when you don't even get most of the multiplat?
It don't matter. They make the most. They make the most profit.
All right.
They may not generate the most revenue, but they generate the most profit, and they sell more of their games than anybody else does.
To be fair, Dragon Slayer, if it was Switch fanboy versus PlayStation fanboy, it would be Omar versus Zero.
Well, and for me, like, because I think the end result is still the same, right? Like, we can step back a decade or so ago when, like, Nintendo was the market leader, and a lot of the sort of underhanded and sort of scummy business practices that they performed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
company
it
does
wasn't
very
that.
good,
Still pretty
and
good.
it wasn't
Hold up,
okay.
Nintendo was still very scummy. Let's not let them off the hook.
Absolutely, not at all. I'm saying
That's
as the
not.
market leader, when they wanted to control things, how like they bullied stores to make sure that they had like physical locations. They're like, if you do not have a dedicated Nintendo aisle, you will not have Nintendo products. And for a KB Toys to not have Nintendo, that's like a death knell. Or God forbid, this is back in the 90s or early 80s where like there was just a bunch of also smaller independent stores.
It's the same thing now though. Like you look at all these, you look at every single market chain or even a mom and pop's place. Like they generally have dedicated goddamn aisles for specific consoles and
Oh
console
no,
games.
that's absolutely true. What Nintendo used to do was say, if you don't, we won't be here. Or God forbid, don't put me next to Sega. Matter of fact, don't have Sega in your store.
Hmm.
Like PlayStation can't do that to Xbox, and vice versa. The three can't do that to each other.
Dude,
Nintendo could definitely do that back in the day. But like, don't have Sega in the store, or put them on the weaker side of the store. We want premium placement. We better not see a goddamn Sega. We will be coming to check.
And it's not. And by the way, if we're talking about digital stuff, like let's not go. Let's go into the fact that I mean, for fuck's sake, Nintendo games rarely, if ever, go on fucking discount.
Right.
I mean, goddamn, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still £40 or like $45 on the fucking Nintendo
Yep.
store.
And that's my point, because what I think it always gets caught back up into is this level of like whataboutism, and it's like we shouldn't necessarily focus on the what about, because if we can get one, then we can probably get the others. If it stands that Sony being the absolute market leader currently, then so be it. They're going to be the biggest target. That's what happened when you're the biggest fish. So like, you don't have to like it, but like, I don't understand how else you want, particularly folks who are just sort of getting into like the business aspect of the video game space. They're looking at it. They're saying, who's the biggest dog in the yard? It's PlayStation. If they set the trends, then like everyone else will follow them, or everyone else will have to follow them if we make PlayStation change, because who else is bigger than them? So that's my point. It's not letting the other ones off. Make sure that you hold them accountable too. Nintendo games rarely go on sale. They've got a whole host of issues. So does Xbox, so does PlayStation. None of these companies are above reproach. It's just that at least with this lawsuit, and I understand it, you can't. It is so much difficult to take on the wide world of gaming as a whole if you could just carve out a piece and start there.
Yeah.
And the only problem with the argument I've read and saw is that I don't think it's a good idea to use the idea of prices are going up so people can't afford to play these games.
No, I think the argument there was more. It's more noticeable now more than ever. Now we're living in a time like this.
I agree. I just I'm particularly speaking from an American point of view.
Is it not easy to say gaming is not a necessity? I know it's coming, but I'm just thinking what PlayStation can say. Like gaming, that's the required.
I think I think those are two different things. It isn't about what is necessary. It is about consumer practices and how the law views that. Because the law is not based on what's necessary. It's based on standards based by an industry. And industries don't work off what's necessary. Clothing, food, cars, all of these things like don't tend to operate on what's necessary. And a lot of these things
they tend
are
to
luxury
operate in
items.
sweatshops.
And so, like that, because that's always the argument. It's a luxury item. Nobody needs to have one. Perfectly fine. One, I don't think that's a strong argument, because what it allows it allows companies to then freely do whatever they want.
Yeah, like now cell
Because
phones are like $2,000 almost. Like,
yeah,
goddamn.
because if
It's a
you don't
luxury item.
if you don't take them to task, period, then they're going to continue to push the envelope and go forward. So it shouldn't matter if, like, yes, it shouldn't matter if I live in a mansion, but I don't want to pay $70 games. It certainly doesn't look the greatest coming from me, but I would argue that if you've ever actually hung around very wealthy people, and I have hung around a couple, they don't pay a cent over what they think anything is worth. And they will raise hell if prices on them get raised. Go to a golf course and let one of the biggest members let them raise prices and see what happens if like the biggest members don't want to pay. Do you think people are going to come to them? That golf course is going to come to them and say, "Oh, this is a luxury. If you don't want to pay, you can just leave." If they leave, all of their wealthy friends are leaving. No one's going to this golf course anymore. You shut down. So there is something to be said about like standing up for what you want. Get it? It's tough and it's hard because video games are an expensive luxury hobby. But I just don't like the idea of like, oh, it's just a toy, and there are very many other toys, so like it doesn't matter. Like it should always matter, and we got to pay attention because they will get one over on us every single time. Like it, we all complain about battle passes and loot boxes, right? But like we allowed it to happen.
Yep, we did.
Like we allowed it to happen, and all we had to, and all everyone said was, well, you just
Not
don't have to buy it.
The casual did. We
doesn't
had
matter.
no choice.
But if the message that you're putting out is not a casual saying it's not necessary, then the message is the same across the board. So it's not necessary for you to buy loot boxes. Doesn't mean they're going to stop. It was on us to actively fight against it, but nobody fought against it because once again,
I did.
we leaned
I
back
boycotted
on,
a few. I boycotted games that had microtransaction, but again, I was just one person because it was the casual. The casual
But-
not gonna stop buying Call of Duty because it have microtransaction. They simply not gonna do that.
But
That's the reality.
That same thing applies to when we talked about $70 games. If only you take a stand on $70 games, but everyone else buys them, games gonna be $70. If only you take a stand on microtransactions, but everyone else participates in microtransactions are still gonna go on.
and if I'm an outsider who doesn't even care about video games, who doesn't really play, all I would ask is, why are you getting upset about something you don't have to buy? It's not necessary, right? So, but that's not a fair argument for when it comes to microtransactions and loot boxes. So I don't think it should be a fair argument, period. Because I agree. I agree. Somebody's got to do something, and the only way to do something is to say something. And if hopefully some people make enough noise to change things, you're going to lose a lot of battles. That's just how this works. But like, you can win some. And the idea isn't just to like stick your head in the sand and just say, well, oh well, I tried, but it's the casuals. But like, you have the same attitude that they do about like, I don't have to buy this.
All right. Does anybody else have anything they want to say on this subject? Like, as far as like the lawsuit and Sony being targeted solely for it.
I'm curious what's gonna come out of it. I really am. But I want change, but I don't expect change.
I don't think this lawsuit will get it done, but I think, it'll set the foundation for other lawsuits that may get it done.
Alright.
I would agree with you if people are not buying shit and people are literally buying what's called games. Games are selling out.
So basically what I'm saying it's not going to get done is because I think like legally they'll just, hit red tape that, they just won't be able to win on. And, but the lawyers will be able to see that red tape and then file a case and be like, okay, well, we failed because of this. Well, now we're going to do this to counter, basically.
It's going to be interesting to see because I would not mind what's called a discount on indie on what called on digital game. The thing is, I don't know about Xbox because I don't own one, but I do know about PC because the Humble Bundle exists. PlayStation does a lot of sales. Walk up to their indie game, walk up to their games digitally.
Alright, fair enough. Let's move on to the next subject. And that is Kotor has moved developers. So
Mm-hmm.
as reported by Bloomberg, the highly anticipated remake of the video game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic has a new developer after a bumpy ride. The project, formerly developed by Austin, Texas-based Aspire Media, is now being led by one of Saber Interactive's Eastern European studios. According to a person familiar with the change who asked not to be identified because the details are private, both the developers are owned by the Swedish company Embracer Group AB, which referenced the pivot in the public statement last week. A representative of Embracer didn't immediately have a comment. The transition shut down any lingering hope within Aspire that they may be able to continue leading the project. Bosses at the studios, which had been developing the remake for more than 2 years, goddamn 2 years, and you showed shit that basically made you fire 2 people, and that's all you had to show? Jesus. Told staff last month that the game was on pause as the company tried to figure out what to do next. Bloomberg reported the message left open the possibility that Aspire could one day reclaim the leadership role, but rumors quickly swirled among employees that Saber was taking over. Last Thursday, Embracer said in a financial report that one of its biggest titles, known within the industry as a AAA game, had switched developers but did not identify the game. One of the group's AAA projects had transitioned to another studio within the group, the company wrote. It's been done to ensure the quality bar is where we need it to be for the title. Some analysts correctly guessed that based on Bloomberg's previous reporting that the statement was referring to the Star Wars remake. Embracer intended to recreate the magic of the original Knights of the Old Republic, a role-playing game that came out in 2003 to great acclaim, and update it using modern technology. The game lets players create their own Jedi, wield lightsabers, and choose to follow the light or dark side of the Force in a galaxy filled with complex characters and rich story. Complex is kind of an overreach. Remakes have become common in recent years, but it's rare for a game to switch companies in the middle of a development. Doing so almost always leads to major delays. The new developers must learn how to adapt the unfamiliar code. In most cases, will revamp or at least modify previous decisions made by the project. Embracer said they are not expecting any material delays due to the transition, but the game announced during the PlayStation event last year does not have a public release date and will likely take at least 2 more years to finish. People familiar with development said Embracer stock tumbled on Monday like lukewarm reviews for its upcoming game Saints Row and is down 28% this year. Still, some close to the project said they are optimistic this will lead to a better project. Decision makers at Embracer and at publishers Sony Group Co. and Walt Disney Co., both of whom have financial interest in the game, were displeased with progress under Aspire, which ultimately led to the transition. So, going to Saber Interactive, that's good. Saber Interactive, they're a solid studio. I'm interested to see what they'll do with it. I'm hoping that this does not put a hamper on any of the current projects Saber is currently working on, like fucking Space Marine 2. Because that's a game I'm highly anticipating. Because, like, fuck, I love Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Fucking love it. Really, really, like, I jumped out my seat for joy when I saw that Space Marine 2 was being made and was very shocked it was Saber Interactive. So I'm just hoping that this does not lead to any kind of...
Are they a good studio?
That. Yeah, they're a decent studio. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They put out some good games, and they've also helped with a lot of ports. remasters. Not ports. Basically, putting games on other systems, existing games on other systems as well. So they've got the tech. They've got the stuff behind them because like they're the guys who own Tripwire Interactive or did, but now I believe, but now they're owned. Obviously, yeah, they own Tripwire and stuff like that. So like Saber Interactive are a big developer and publisher. They own a lot of good studios. I'm just wondering what Eastern European studio that it was handled to, because obviously Embracer recently just bought Saber Interactive and pretty much everything they're in. But yeah, they've done games like World War Z. They did the Evil Dead game that recently came out. They helped with give me a second. There was a couple of games that they helped that you would know of. Give me a sec.
I know World Z.
No. I'm on about like games that you are fully familiar with. Yeah, they helped with the PC ports of the Halo series for the Master Chief Collection. They helped with that. They did the Ghostbusters remaster, the Ghostbusters video game remaster that came out for Xbox, PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC. That was them. Let me see. They did Inversion as well, which was a decent game. They did Time Shift, which was also another decent game. They did the Switch port of Call of Cthulhu. They did the Switch port as well of The Witcher 3. The Switch port of Vampire as well. Like, so they've got some decent track record. Again, it just depends on the studio under Saber that they decide to hand it to. But I have more confidence with it under them than I did with Aspire. Now, like I said, my worry is that this might possibly put some pressure on the Warhammer 40k game. That's my major concern is the fucking Warhammer 40k. But yeah, at least something is being done. It's just funny. It's just funny that fucking stocks plummeted for Embracer after reviews for that shit that the Saints Row game we all knew was going to be shitty. That kind of
shit that game came out broken. Damn,
it broken in so many different ways. It's not even a Saints Row game. It's a shadow of its former self. But yeah, Zero, thoughts on this?
Not a lot, honestly. I think based on the last one we talked about with Kotor, I'm just sort of glad somebody's doing something with this. I guess my assumption is we don't see Kotor till 24?
20, no, not even
maybe
25, dude. You're looking for 25.
Yeah, so we won't be seeing this for quite some time now. But I have no history of Kotor. I've never played it. I'm aware of it in just the larger gaming media. So I'm just happy they're setting the ship right. I wish the team nothing but success, because I'd like to play a modern version of it and see what it is.
Yeah, I'm just happy. Shit is an understatement to describe Saints Row reboot.
That joint's really bad. But
they're trying to make it like a hipster thing, and it's like,
yeah.
What's weird is that it like people do rag on that, but like apparently, even if it like had everything perfect, the game is just a mess.
Oh no, like even like it's not for me. It's not a good thing when Polygon turns around and says fueled by Gen Z rage. It's like, what does that even fucking mean?
Look at Fortnite.
Yeah, little kids yelling at you on Fortnite because they didn't get that goddamn number one victory. Pharaoh, your thoughts on Saber taking over for the KOTOR development?
I'm a little bit indifferent on it. I'm more wait and see. Let's see what they can do with it. Optimistic. Hopefully they get it right. But at the same time, he's I like when the original studio does the game. I know that a lot of people who originally worked on KOTOR probably aren't even at that studio anymore, but
Dude,
that's all.
see, it's the wrong studio entirely.
No, but I'm saying I like when the original studio does it. I know the original studio isn't doing it, but I'm saying I like that. That's always my preference. Is that
Okay.
the original guys work on the game.
A number of the original people could have worked on it if they had not left because of fucking Anthem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I know those people are gone, but that's always my preference. So now I'm just kind of wait and see. I'm indifferent.
So Anthem fucked them over.
Hold on, Jube, what do you think of KOTOR being taken over by Saber Interactive? He's probably putting his dreadlocks on. Omar, what do you think?
Yeah, so after hearing what you named, who they worked on, and I'm curious what they're gonna do. I'm curious how the gameplay is going to be, and I'm curious also how long it's going to take now for it to come out.
They Aspire were working for 2 years on this thing. Like, Jesus, I didn't even think it was that long. But they've been working 2 years on this, and there's the potential that it's going to get fucking scrapped. That everything they did could potentially get fucking scrapped. That just shows the level of, quite frankly, the level of fucking incompetency that everybody looked at this and was like, nah, bro, they're saying it. They're saying it. Oh, it's terrible. Jube, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you now. What are your thoughts on KOTOR being taken over by Saber?
We should get a better game.
We should get a better game.
There's always that.
Saber has done some great things. So
yeah.
Hopefully some better hands.
I'm just hoping.
I'm curious to see what turd Aspire was trying to shove down our throats initially.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
I'm just hoping that.
My thing is it a turd?
Like a Duke Nukem Forever level of game.
Oh.
That kind of hurts my feelings. But
my question is it a turd, or is it just not? Does it not have like just that touch that the original version had, or like we didn't see it, so it's kind of tough. Like I don't want to shit on it. I don't want to shit on what I was seeing it.
I'll shit on it only because, like, to have Disney and Sony both turn around and say, "Nah, bro, they're saying it."
Disney fucked up Star Wars, so that's what I'm saying.
I agree.
So it's like I don't know.
But also they did hire the writer who turned around and said there are no memorable characters in Call of Duty.
It's like when Disney fucks up Star Wars, like I don't know, like it's just like I'm wait and see, because like no one at Disney has gotten Star Wars right. They've gotten Mandalorian right.
Yeah, they got Mandalorian.
But other than that,
it's just had potential. I think if JJ had the whole trilogy, we would have saw some dope shit. Then
we would have seen more bet. I don't think it would have been dope. I agree with that statement, because I've said it for the longest time. I said if JJ Abrams had the series as a whole, it would have been better. Do I think it would have been amazing? No, but I think it would have been much better than what we got.
It would absolutely, because I mean, look, I was just going based off of what we got with Star Trek from him. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got some good ass Star Trek movies out of that man.
Yeah, but when he did a carbon copy of Episode 4, it was like, it
wasn't.
Obi-Wan was okay.
They had similar plot lines, but like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure if JJ stayed at the helm, he wouldn't have had to change Finn and Rey's relationship. We might have actually seen that happen. You know what I'm saying?
It's like
instead of him getting fucking forever friend zoned off of some bullshit, while this bitch goes out and basically flips our place.
All right, no Star Wars tangent. God, you'll get me going.
It's just a mishandled franchise in my eyes the past like 10 years. So it's like
what's interesting about Saber is not only do we have the Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 coming, we've also got a new Painkiller game coming from them. Now, anybody who knows their FPSs knows about Painkiller. and knows that series is really fucking good. And I cannot wait until I see what Painkiller is like.
Obi-Wan was dope too, so I don't want to completely shit on him. Obi-Wan was good.
Obi-Wan was alright.
Yeah, it was alright. Like,
Alright.
It was good. Like I wouldn't say it was great. Like it wasn't like earth-shattering.
Now,
but
speaking, has everybody got their thoughts out on the KOTOR thing?
Yep.
yeah, I think so.
Alright, speaking of remakes, as far as like the Force Awakens goes, here's a topic for discussion. Considering some recent games that are coming out and have been announced, when is a remake a good idea? Or when is a remake a right thing, or the right thing, should I say? Because recently, because everybody knows about The Last of Us Part 1 remake, and a lot of people have agreed that, except for Omar, have agreed that this remake is completely unnecessary. There's no fucking point for it to actually exist. In any way whatsoever, considering they are basically doing fuck all with it, except upping the visuals and shit. Like that's all they're fucking doing. There's no true improvement to the gameplay or anything. It's most likely gonna still have the same gameplay problems that the original had, which I've said before, I like The Last of Us, but that game has some really shitty jank-ass fucking shooting. But this game recently got announced. It is a remake / reboot of the series, but it's still in a lot of ways a remake ends up being a reboot of a series in some regards. I mean, just look at Resident Evil 2. Yeah, it does follow.
Which game are you talking about?
I'm gonna show it in a second. A lot of games end up being like Resident Evil 2. Like that was a remake, but in a lot of senses it rebooted the story of Resident Evil 2 and changed a couple of things. Like some small things, some major things. But the game I'm referring to is the recent announcement of Alone in the Dark, which came the fuck out of nowhere for me because this series has been fucking dead for like a decade. Like this series has been dead for like a decade. I think the last game that came out was Alone in the Dark Illuminate or something. It was a shitty fucking game. But yeah, no, this series has been fucking dead, and it seems like, and this is from Embracer Group as well. So it seems like because Embracer Group definitely seems to be like the trendsetter of, oh, there's a really good fucking series, let's remake it. Or let's remake it / reboot it. Like this is a dead series that's been dead for a long time, but there's still potential. Let's remake it. Fuck it. Let's do it. Let's see if we can generate some interest in it. And it seems like this might be what they're doing with Alone in the Dark. Like, for anybody who knows their history with survival horror, knows that before there was Resident Evil, there was Alone in the Dark. Like, that's what these guys are. Now, obviously, I think it's THQ Nordic making this, but again, that's Embracer Group. THQ Nordic is owned by Embracer. So yeah, for me, when I saw this, it raised a question in my head, because we have talked about this before about remakes and stuff like that. Because not only did they have this, they've also THQ Nordic has Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed coming out, which is
that a remake?
That's a remake, yeah. Remake, yeah, because there's multiple Destroy All Human games.
Yeah, hey, that first remake was actually low key fire. Like, I enjoyed it.
Fuck right, it is.
I enjoyed it a lot.
I'm hoping they push it even further with 2 and reintroduce, because they did take some things out of the first remake that I wish were in it, but I'm hoping that they're like, okay, let's go full bore with the new remake, with the remake of 2. But for me, the whole Alone in the Dark thing kind of raised a thing in my head of, maybe it's fine to remake a game when, for example, Alone in the Dark, the last Alone in the Dark game, I will quickly check, came out in like 2009 or something like that. Like, it came out, like I said, over a decade ago.
There was actually one that came out in 2015.
2015, so nearly a decade ago then. Yeah, that Illumination, that was the one that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That was the shitty one that nobody fucking played and nobody knew about. But like
Jesus,
yeah, it goes all the way back to 1992. Yeah, this is like I said, when people think survival horror, a lot of people immediately go to Resident Evil, but people who know their survival horror know Alone in the Dark.
Yeah, I know about Alone in the Dark.
But yeah, like the last true entry in this series was in 2018. Again, over a decade ago. Like that was the last true installment in the series. But for me, it raised the question of maybe a game like Alone in the Dark that has been dormant for so long is the best kind of candidate for a remake. Because you're not going to bring in any new fans if you turn around and say, oh, this is Alone in the Dark 4 or Alone in the Dark 5. Like, people are just going to look at it and like, what the fuck? Where are the others? Like, because again, this is a series that goes back to 1992. So people are
But
just...
don't you then want a reboot instead of a remake?
But that, again, but like I said, a remake and reboot kind of go hand in hand because... God damn it, who dropped? Juba. Because, like, a lot of the times a reboot, a remake does change the story a bit. Or does change the story in some significant ways, like it did in Resident Evil 2. Like, that is a remake, but it also falls kind of in the line of a reboot because it changes some story beats, it moves some things around, and even removes things. Like Resident Evil 3 was a remake, but in a lot of aspects it was a reboot of that story. Because in the original, Carlos and his partner never went to the RPD. In fact, the guy that you see go with Carlos to the RPD in Resident Evil 3 gets blown the fuck up. Or dies. He actually has a bigger role in the remake than he did in the original. Like I said, there's rebooted elements of the story in a remake. Kind of like Final Fantasy VII. They say it's Final Fantasy VII remake, but like that ain't a true remake. That is not a one-to-one remake of the original because they changed the story around a fuck ton. So yeah, like with a game like this, with a franchise that has been so dormant for so long, for me looking at it, it makes more sense to remake it than try to. First of all, you can't remaster a game from 1992. Like too janky. Like there's absolutely no way you can do it.
I want HD 4K polygons. I want them angles to be sharp.
You want to cut yourself on that edge.
Yes.
But yeah, so it makes and again, the series has been dead for over 10 years. So bringing out a follow-up or a brand new entry into the series would make no sense. Because people are just going to question are going to be confused about the story. Like, who is this? Who is that? Like, where is this story going? So it makes more sense to remake/reboot the series with a brand new game and start from there. Like with Destroy All Humans, like another example for me with that, like. It kind of goes to... give me a second, actually, I'll explain. Destroy All Humans, like the Destroy All Human games, the last one for Destroy All Humans came out in 2008, which was Path of the Furon. Again, over a decade ago. If they turn around and said, oh, let's make a sequel, people are going to question, what the fuck's going on? Like, what the fuck's going on with this story? Because Path of the Furon came out on the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. Like, it doesn't seem that long ago, but again, you got to remember, that was in 2008. Like, we're in 2022 right now. That was over 16 years ago. No, 14 years ago. My apologies. Dante can't read. Can't multiply. But yeah, like, it makes no goddamn sense to just add a new installment, so it makes the more sense to remake it. Because it's just the easiest way for people to reinvigorate a franchise. Another example of that would have, and, you know, Dragon brings it up, is the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. No, sorry, Michael brought up the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. Like... It had been, again, another decade. I think it was like a decade since the last Crash Bandicoot game, the last mainline one. So, like, adding a new one to that series would make very little sense. So let's just remake the games, and then we can make a new entry if people enjoyed it that much. Now, a good example, even though a lot of people lambasted it as like a pointless remake, like another remake that is a good example of this was the House of the Dead remake. Like, you look at it and you're like, they did bring out a trilogy called Scarlet Dawn, but that's only in the arcade. So to do any kind of sequel to Scarlet Dawn, which is in fact a continuation of House of the Dead 4, would make zero fucking sense, because people will be like, well, where the fuck is this going? Like, we don't know this game. What are you referencing? But if they remake it to a whole new audience, then they can remake the second one, which they are doing, and then obviously go on and then add new entries into the series, if this is making sense. So if it's a really old series, it makes sense to remake it, because you're bringing fresh eyes onto the product. If it fails, it fails. Like, it's just another game. Do you know what I mean? But if it succeeds, you're reinvigorating a new franchise out there, and you're just adding to the pantheon of games that are currently going. Do you know what I mean? Like, it gives us more options to play. Like, sometimes it's just not... Because a lot of these games, you can't play them. Like, you really just cannot... You cannot play the original Alone in the Dark. It's impossible. Unless you emulate it, and that's difficult. Like, the Destroy All Humans PS2 version was on the PlayStation Store, but I guarantee you fucking nobody who wasn't searching for it knew about it. Like,
I have to say, I agree. I think you're sort of right on the money with it, particularly. I was trying to find a name of a game. I can't find it.
You know what? I'll feed you one. It's one that I've constantly bitched about wanting a remake of, and it's been a series that has been dormant for like literally probably about near 20 years. Dino Crisis.
Yes.
It makes more sense to remake the game or reboot it than it does to try and add a new sequel, because Dino Crisis 3, because sometimes also it's easier to remake a game because sometimes the story just goes so far out of whack that it's easier just to remake a game and then make a whole new story afterwards. Because again, Dino Crisis 1 is, I don't want to say a grounded story, but like, Dino Crisis, the Dino Crisis came out in 1999. Then the sequel, which was actually a direct sequel, came out in 2000. And then Dino Crisis 3 came out in 2003, 19 years ago, and that son of a bitch was set in space. How the fuck do you make a sequel to that? So the better option would be, let's remake the first one. If people like it, remake the second. If people like that, let's continue the story. Because Dino Crisis 2 left on a cliffhanger that you could easily make a brand new third game off of, instead of going into space.
I would even say you don't have to, because I would argue that outside of a few dedicated few, most just don't remember the story about Dino Crisis anyway.
No. That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. You can retell the story of 1 and 2, because, like I said,
yeah,
with one and 2, they're two. 2 is a direct sequel to 1, where 3 was completely disconnected in space thousands of years later, which made no sense. So in a remake or a rebooted series, like, they remake 1 and 2, and then in the new continuity, they can ignore 3, and this is the new Dino Crisis 3. It's a direct sequel to the story of 2. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No. I was saying I agree with you. There was a particular game. I agree with you on 2 points. And to start with, I use the term, or I will be using the term, reboot and remake rather loosely,
interchangeably.
Not even that, just like, particularly the word reboot. When I think reboot, I think of two things. I think it's the exact way you described it, Dante. But then I think there's the thing that just sort of reinvigorizes the franchise. Even if like there were like it's a continuation of the story. Like I would consider what Fast 5 did for the Fast and the Furious franchise as it is not a reboot in the way we understand it, but it definitely like kicked that series into getting a whole nother 5 movie. Like if I don't think if that movie was as quote unquote good as it was, we'd be getting this fucking legacy of these 10 goddamn movies. Because the franchise was kind of quiet, dormant, dead it was meh for a long time, and then they added all this energy to it and brought it back. Alone in the Dark is a game where, frankly, I forgot it existed. Not only that, its heyday was like in the 90s. There is an entire generation of people who were born, who are purchasing video games who don't know what this is, have never heard of it, never seen it, and probably don't have any interest to go look for it. So in that sense, I think it's the perfect type of reboot remake. Because you took sort of this dormant franchise that has a beloved, probably smaller following, but good enough, hopefully, to warrant itself. And like just looking at the trailer, it's like a damn near different game.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't name this Alone in the Dark, it's still like it's its own thing just because of that. But you're right, Alone in the Dark was like one of the granddaddies of survival horror. But then you've got things like Resident Evil, which like everybody knows Resident Evil, but the remake from the first game to the second one to the third one really did like re-energize that series again. In a way that I don't know that 5 and 6 did. Even though like I think they sold well, but like people were really excited to jump back in to Resident Evil 2 and the first remake that came out a while ago. I think there's this fine line that the industry should be walking in, that occasionally you got to get your money makers out there. So like Final Fantasy 7 is going to get remade, and the one I just named.
Okay, so
Resident
hold on.
Evil's
Let
gonna
me
get
let me
remade.
just actually, because I was very curious. So it looks like there might be some tweaking to the story, but it looks like this is actually a remake of the very original 1992 Alone in the Dark, because it has the original character as well as the original location.
And that's to me what it should be, because while Alone in the Dark has been around for some types of years, it's like just sort of been here. It is not setting the world on fire. I don't even think from a cult hit, it's like hitting things up. The last game was incredibly bad, apparently, scoring a 19 on Metacritic.
Awesome. It was awful.
So it's like, yeah, why not do the very, very first one? Because no one knows about this game. At least not a lot of people. So it's a perfect way to reintroduce a sort of basically dead franchise to the world again and kick it off to give it new life, and perhaps we'll be getting more of these, in which they might once again inspire a genre to push forward and continue forward. But there are games like when we look at The Last of Us, I'm like, this isn't the one. And only because like one, it's still very, very new. But like The Last of Us, it's this mega thing.
A game like what called Infamous could have had a remake. First one.
And even Infamous, I think I count games like Infamous or Last of Us, even Uncharted, as like that's my pay to bills remake from an industry
What do you mean?
perspective. From an industry perspective,
They remake it to keep the lights on.
Yeah, the idea is that like there are things you take the risk on, and there are things you know that's going to make you money. Last was going to make money.
I would say Infamous might. Okay, so my thing with Infamous is I say it kind of falls more into the line of this could possibly reinvigorate a franchise for the simple reason. Yeah, we got Second Son and Last Light on the PlayStation 4 like early on. But the thing for me that I've got to keep in kind of mind with Infamous is right now, even though we're they might have semi missed the boat on this, but with Infamous they could really ride the superhero trend.
Yep.
Yeah.
With it.
If they revival call and then do a third game with them. Yep.
Because like Infamous came, like the first Infamous game came out 12 fucking years ago. Jesus,
Right.
I'm
Mhm.
old. Oh god, I'm old, man.
But you know,
And
But I do
when I-
agree. And by
Yeah,
the way,
when I-
yes. Sorry, looking more deeply
Okay.
into it, this is a remake of the original, well and truly, because it's a reimagination of Alone in the Dark. Yeah, it's the original because the time period is the same, the location is the same, and the characters are the same. It is a fucking remake. That is incredible.
Yeah, and so those, I think those help. Even Infamous, even though I agree with you, like it can certainly reboot that entire franchise and like take what the superhero genre has been doing and push it even further. But there's a game series called Deception. Originally it was called Techno's Deception way back in like 1996 or something. It was a PlayStation game. At the time when I was younger, it was one of the most unique games I'd ever played because the idea of it is you play as an evil lord of a castle, and you have to set up traps and then people walk into your castle and you have to kill them. And that is the purpose of the game. Like ever since then, I've never really played a game like that. The closest, easiest analog I could think of is like it is effectively a tower defense. But like it's a little different. Like one, it's 3D. And so, enemies do different things. Like I remember like there are ninjas who the trapdoors don't work on them because they jump over them. So you've got to hit them with the poison spikes or anything else. And Deception has been going on for, I think the last one was like 2015.
Let me just quit because I've got the series up. Because if you'd not mentioned the game, I would have said you're effectively just describing Dungeon Keeper.
And yeah, similar to Dungeon Keeper as well. And so like Techno's Deception is a game that probably won't be a huge moneymaker, but I would love to see remade/reboot.
I don't think need to be a moneymaker, right?
It doesn't, but unfortunately, you got to keep the lights on to make the game like the sort of smaller indie games. So that's why like I stay on the line between like The Last of Us. I don't personally like it, but I get why. Like, gonna get some paper off of this. Like, and of course, this is an industry thing because each individual company is doing their own.
Mm-hmm.
But say, for example, like say if Naughty Dog wanted to do Techno's Deception, this Last of Us remake cash can definitely be infused into the Techno's remake because you got to convince people to do it, and that it's going to be profitable. Not to make a lot of money, but it does have to be profitable. But I would love to see this game like remade. Like imagine this sort of I'm stuck on the term currently, but this Last of Us looking game where like you are lord of a castle and you are effectively doing your best to kill people who are infiltrating you. And they have a variety of skill sets that you have to learn. And like all of this stuff. And that's a game that's just not very well known. That I think could really do it. Dante, you brought up Dino Crisis. Turok is another one that could probably benefit really well from just like being remade, being rebooted, and kick this series off again. This is what I hope Perfect Dark is going to be doing if they ever sort of get it off the ground and get it together. But like there's a lot of games just like that existed in our era that like probably could stand to just be Parasite Eve.
Yeah, I never played Parasite Eve. I'm dying to play that game.
And like when you look at something like Pragmata, and then you're like, you could probably draw a sort of line between where Parasite Eve was and where Pragmata is, or even Death Stranding.
What do you mean?
Because there's these and to be fair, we've not seen much of Pragmata, so I don't.
Yeah.
There, so I'll use Death Stranding as a bit easier. Both are very, very odd games. Like Death Stranding wears its entire like weirdness on its sleeve completely. Parasite Eve starts off like the first 5 to 10 minutes starts off as like, this is another Resident Evil, and then things flip completely on its head. And
it's very scientific.
Yeah, it is. Think like Genova and all this other type of stuff, or like the much more major characters, psychics involved, the people are injecting
Like-
weird things in science.
Yeah, exactly. It is like Genova, except
Yeah.
a lot more science behind it.
And a lot more people
like you-
spontaneously combusting.
Yeah.
Like when I went into my science class, I was prepared to talk about mitochondria because of Parasite Eve. I was
Like,
prepared.
let's do it. So, I think there's this. Me personally, I would love to see a lot of the older, forgotten things remade.
Parasite Eve would be such a great comeback. Like Aya Brea is such a
Fascinating
good
character,
for the
right?
big.
Such a good
Yeah, she's
character.
she's such a good character for the big screen. Like, oh my gosh, like she would to me, she's better than Laura Croft if you ask me. Like, she's one of the better female characters we've had
Yeah.
in the past 20 years. That she just kind of went away. But yeah.
And
She's a great female
the thing
protagonist.
is as well. The thing is though is like this is if you notice what we're talking about is games specifically from like the late 90s, early 90s, early 2000s. Games that try to like seemingly ambitious games that tried to push the envelope that were kind of hampered by technical limitations. Because I'll give an idea. For example, nobody here really would turn around and say, like, even if it came out great initially, none of us would want like a remake of Chrono Trigger. Because despite technical limitations of the hardware it was on, the game is fantastic top to bottom. Like Super Metroid is another one for me. I would never want a remake of that. Even if it turned out great, I initially would never want it because from top to bottom, it feels like that game is amazing. It feels like
Chrono Trigger, I would like a remaster, like just like a pixelated remaster, and that's about it.
Oh no, that's where I was actually gonna go. Like we'd more look at it like no, we'd prefer a remaster, like update the controls a little, but spick and span it, like not entirely like what fucking Capcom did with Third Strike, where they're now no longer glorious pixel art, but they're now just fucking, quite frankly, awful fucking renders of the characters. But no, give us a remaster of it. But it's mainly games that try to push the envelope of genres or gaming in general in like the early stages of like the 3D era that we tend to want to see remastered and seen to their full potential of what it could have been.
I think everything that's PlayStation 2 era and down and horizontal should be considered for a remake if it's one of your legacy titles.
Yeah, that's why I said early 90s,
Yeah.
late 90s, early 2000s. Because that's
what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. I think everything in that PlayStation 2 era down should be, considered for a remake or a remaster. At this point, if you're a company looking for something to kind of refresh your library,
and look at impossible franchises to move forward with, like Legend of Dragoon.
Yes.
Legend of Dragoon, Vagrant Story is a good one.
Even though I hated Vagrant Story, but I support the idea of it coming back.
Siphon Filter.
Yeah, it's a good one to bring back. Siphon Filter, it's a lot of
get weird. There's especially today in the world of anime, there's a game called Evil Zone. It was an old fighting game. That it was every character was a parody of something specifically Japanese. So one was the Sentai girl.
I fucking remember Evil Zone. Holy shit.
Yeah, one was superhero. One was basically Guts from Berserk.
Yep, there was a mecha character, robot, yeah.
Another thing when it comes to these, go ahead, Dante. I was going to say.
Yeah, sorry. Another idea. Japan Studio is no longer around, but I know they fucking still own the rights to it. If Sony really want to try and expand their collection of single player games and want to try and bust into different genres, why the fuck have you left the Siren series on the table?
Siren is another one.
The last game for that came out in fucking 2008. Like, and that was Siren Blood Curse. Like, yeah, it's not the most well-known fucking series, but again, going to your whole anime thing, there's like this whole new kind of cultural acceptance / intrigue of other cultures, like mythologies and beliefs and stuff like that. The fucking Siren series is perfect for that.
And Siren can be updated to be something similar to what The Quarry and Until Dawn, and it probably could even take it further, could be. Like,
Yeah.
No, because
there's
Siren
room for
actually
it.
had gameplay.
Hey, I would not take any disrespect for those games, or at least not for Until Dawn. I ain't
Oh
played
no,
Quarry
no,
yet.
no! I agree with Until Dawn. I love Until Dawn. I love watching Until Dawn. Like, I really do. Like, Supermassive game. Wait, that is Supermassive, isn't it?
Yes.
Supermassive
yeah.
game. They are amazing. Like, they know what they're making and they have fucking fun with it.
Like, I think we've all agreed, all of us at various times on this podcast agreed, like, the big three are not as adventurous as they used to be. You know,
I think I was gonna say the great thing about those older IPs is that it allows you to take risk with IPs that have a following already.
Yeah.
So you're not taking a risk with a new IP, with a new idea. Like you're presenting something new, you know, with the old IP that people are already attached to and that they want to, you know, play again.
In today's climate, it is safer to in my opinion, in my personal opinion, in today's climate, if especially like older games, like, again, I don't want this to stifle. I'm not one of those people that turns around and says reboot, stifle new ideas or anything like that. Because honestly, if you're able to successfully reboot a franchise, you can take the story wherever you want to go afterwards. Like I said with the Siren series, you don't necessarily need to like remake the second or third one. You can take the first one and then do your own story afterwards. But like, for me, when it comes to remakes, remakes are actually a safer option than brand new IPs because you have more chance of actually recouping your money from it. Not only from that dedicated fan base, but the possible new people they're bringing in. See, because for me, it comes down to a simple case of, especially if you look at companies like Activision. Like, Activision is like the biggest fucking example of this. All they fucking make is Call of Duty. All they fucking make is Call of Duty. Anytime any other studio makes something really fucking good, they inevitably move to fucking Call of Duty. Toys for Bob, Volition Games, like, all of these fucking studios end up going to Call of Duty. And all we've had is Call of Duty.
Oh shit, you're really good at your job.
Who, me?
You're like, oh no, you're really good at your job. We need you to work on Call of Duty.
Yeah, we need you to do updates for Call of Duty Warzone. Like, and like, for example, like, PlayStation is kind of like, PlayStation and Microsoft are kind of guilty of the same thing. Like, how many times can we see pretty much the same Call of Duty come out? How many times can we see pretty much the same fucking Halo come out? How many times can we see pretty much the same fucking God of War come out? How many times can we see the same fucking Last of Us game coming out? Like, how many times can we see these same games come out? Give us something new. Like, even if it's something old, shine that motherfucker, put it in nice graphics. You've got a brand new franchise there, and just fucking maybe, you'll have a new cash cow that you can milk your fucking fan base out of. Like, I want you to milk me. Grab my others and milk me, bitch. Just give me something worth milking.
They try to get new and people shit on it.
What? Omar's breaking up.
I'm confused. They're doing new IPs all the time. Like Horizon is a new IP. Kotor Tsushima is a new IP.
I guess my question is,
but how many? But here's the
any
thing:
of how many of them are extreme?
How many years between them? How many years between them? Like Horizon, you say that's a new IP, but that came out on the PlayStation 3. But how many years did we have to wait between? Like Spider-Man, that's not a new IP, but like that was a really good game. Again, actually, Spider-Man's a good fucking example because Marvel's Spider-Man is in effect a fucking rebooted series. Like,
per se, you can call it as that, yeah.
Like, because, yeah, they've rebooted that fucking series on the PlayStation so many goddamn times, but it's effectively a reboot of the Spider-Man series on the PlayStation platform. Because, I mean, God, we had the originals, we had the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans, we had the Amazing Spider-Man games under Activision, we had all of those other ones like Web of Shadows and stuff. Web of Shadows, Shattered Dimensions. Like, you had all of those, and then they just said, fuck it. No more continuation. Just reboot the bastard thing, and Insomniac did. But like, how many again? But you look like, oh my, you look at this big gap between all these releases that you're talking about, like Horizon. We're gonna get a Horizon 3. We're gonna get a God of War 6. Wait.
No, God of War. Yeah, this God of War is going to end the trilogy.
Yeah,
and after it, they're gonna go to a different era.
We'll have to see. We can't be guaranteed of that. But like, we're gonna get.
This God of War is gonna end the trilogy.
No, this one is.
There's only 2 games. There's no trilogy.
This is only 2 games. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
No, God of War 6. He says God of War 6 is going to end this new trilogy. Like, we had the OG trilogy, now we've got the Norse trilogy. The Greek trilogy, Norse trilogy. What's next? The Egyptian trilogy? Actually, you know what?
How is it a trilogy, though? There's only 2 Greek games.
Well,
2 Norse games.
this game...
No, Omar, let me finish. What I was saying was, Omar, you got to follow what I was saying, because Omar was. I said, we're going to get a Horizon 3. We're going to get a God of War 6. After Ragnarok, we're going to get a 6 because it will be the 6 in the mainline story. We're going to get... Fuck, we're probably going to get The Last of Us Factions. We might get a Last of Us 3 for all we fucking know. But we're probably going to get a Ghost of Tsushima 2. But again, you look at these games, yeah, but there's so fucking few of them. Like, it's less than a goddamn stack. Like, you look at these games, then you look at the big giant fucking time between these games releasing, you're thinking, something could be released here. Like, you could literally slot in a new franchise between this.
It depends on which developer you're talking about. This is why they're buying us as developers now. This is why they have what's called Outmarquee. Now they can develop something for them.
No, but they could have done this. No, but this is something. What we're trying to say, or what I'm trying to say, is if you wanted to, like, for example, Siren, the Siren series, if you want to remake the first Siren game, that's something that you could put a small development team on. Like, that's not something, because the framework's already there. That's not something you have to throw a fucking Naughty Dog or an Insomniac on. This is something that you could get a small team on, and then if Sony saw them making progress, they could put more resources into it, and then start building that project up even bigger. Like, that's something they could have done before this shopping spree.
Yeah, I think I agree a little with just like.
So I can comment on that one.
Yeah, it just feels unfortunate, like, because I'm not going to be that guy to be like, oh, the industry isn't creative, because it certainly is. Like, there are a lot of indie games out here doing the thing, but a lot of these games used to be with like the big dogs, like, you know, Bloody Roar was on PlayStation, or Brave Musashi.
Man, Brave Fence Musashi was great. Bloody Roar coming back would be great.
Yeah,
I've been screaming for a fucking new Bloody Roar, but
I would take Brave Fence and Musashi over Bloody Roar personally. Like, I would too. Brave Fence, it was really unique, and I think, you know, we could use a title like that. I think it's a good title that like blends something that kids can play, but adults will also enjoy. So it's like,
yeah, so, and like, listen, I'm realistic. Like, I know certain games are probably never coming back. Like, Buster Groove isn't coming back. It's gone.
Rapper.
Probably not coming back. Like, the era of the rhythm game is done until somebody else decides to like relive it again. But like, that era's done.
Virtual reality could have been that.
Virtual reality might be space for it. What'd you say, Omar? I'm sorry.
Rhythm games are still coming though.
I mean, but not the way they like the
Guitar Hero.
The era of like
there was a time,
and then
Rapper was like Sony's biggest game.
When Guitar Hero, like when the era of Guitar Hero and Rock Band and stuff died, rhythm games went right along with it. Like, yes, there will always be games that exist in the rhythm genre, but like it does not seem that they're going to hit the highs of what they were before. And so a game like Buster Groove will never come back because unless somebody just makes it, who's going to pay for that? It's this simple little rhythm game about dancing. They just not, it's not going to happen. And, you got to be realistic about that. But there's just so many games that feel just middle of the way enough, that have just enough love and reverence for them that, like, you probably don't have to spend a lot of money.
Like I said, Brave vs. Musashi, that would be such a great AA game. That's not even a game that requires AAA budget. That'd be such a great AA game to make.
Yeah. Or, Dante mentioned milking. If Nintendo doesn't wake up and realize that if they were to HD pixelize any of the mothers, they would probably sell $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
If you make the new Mother series look like Octopath or
do a collection, the Mother collection, guaranteed 20 billion yen.
Yeah, and make it or Live Alive, which like occasionally we are, right? Like Live Alive just came out of nowhere, and it's so good.
Why hasn't Ness hit the big screen? Like he was such a adored character from the original Smash Brothers, and he never got a game.
They never released his game back out. And Mother was massive, and they just didn't do anything with it.
Every single company have a franchise or two that they forgot about.
Nobody forgot about Ness, though. They just never made a game. Nobody forgot about him.
That's what I mean with forgetting about them.
They knew he was the most. He was one of their top 5 most popular characters on Smash Brothers. Like he was probably top 3 actually.
And ain't nobody forgot about Dino Crisis. I mean, for fuck's sake, Capcom still being fucking just hounded about that shit.
Yeah.
When I say forget in the sense of people not doing companies,
the developers not doing anything with them.
Like the bouncer deserves to be tried again.
Like here's another one. Here's another one.
That was dope game.
Here's another thing. Like again, it comes down to it does not take a lot of resources to do this. And if you could start out with small resources, and if a project looks promising, you can throw more resources at it. And if it doesn't, you can just cut your losses with it. You haven't spent that much. You're gonna make it back on the next big God of War. Like you've still got your heavy hitters. But why haven't they done anything? Like you've got Gran Turismo, but that's all Sony's got. Where's your foot? Okay, Gran Turismo is fun for a lot of people, but when I say fun, I mean really fucking out there kind of fun. Why haven't they done anything with the Wipeout series recently?
Exactly.
At some point, yeah, they just even the Infamous. Where is Infamous? They're not bringing it back. They're working on Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, I think games need at least 20 years before they come back. I mean, how old is Infamous?
Not
20 years old.
That's actually no, that's 19 years, dude.
So we're getting close. I think after 20 years, you start talking about it.
Where the fuck is the new Okami?
Okami would be fun to see again.
I love Okami.
Wait,
or even because we talk about it, even if it's something that's the spiritual successor to, because I think that's the easy route to take too. Because I get sometimes licensing and all this other type of stuff becomes a huge nightmare. But if you make Okami in everything but name only, it scratches that itch that I think we'd be looking for.
Well, there has to be a combination of the desire for the game to be remade and the people to be around that want to remake it. It has to be a combination.
I do agree with that. But like I said, sometimes, as a famous businessman once said, you don't know what you want. You don't know what you want. You want what I tell you to want.
Yeah.
So if again, just a hypothetical out there, if suddenly PlayStation announced Siren, a new Siren game, the rebooting the series, a lot of people won't know what the fuck Siren is. We'll look at it and be like, oh my god, Siren's coming back! Siren's coming back! But a lot of other people will be like, what is this? This seems interesting. It's a Japanese horror game. ooh, there's not many horror games out from PlayStation. They don't really do horror games. I'll check this out. And then there'll be others who are like, oh my god, it's a Sony game. I'll buy it regardless of if it's shit or not. And they'll buy it. And like I said, like there is a desire there for games. Just people don't know they have that desire because either people are not familiar with the series, they're not familiar with the genre. I mean, what game recently came out? I know it broke a number of records. It was a game that came out that was part of a niche genre that sold incredibly fucking well. Give me a second.
Elden Ring?
You know what? I think it's either Elden Ring or something else. But yeah, like Elden Ring, for example, like everybody here and their mother was turning around saying, "Oh, the Dark Souls series is niche." Even when it sold really well on PlayStation and Sekiro sold really goddamn well, we turned around and said, "Oh, it's still a niche thing." Elden Ring numbers proved that genre is no longer fucking niche.
Yeah, that's true.
So like we've entered the era of genres no longer being niche things. They're experiences. Like you'll find people who accept Jubei because there's only so much his heart can take. But like even horror games are in my opinion, are no longer truly a niche genre because people will just pick it up for the experience now.
I think horror is going to blow up once VR becomes big. I think horror will be like one of the bigger genres.
Well, no, the only thing that will blow up then is Jubei's heart.
I'm gonna play co-op. I'm gonna stream it.
Only if he plays a spider horror game.
I mean, I'm on that one. I'm not doing that. No.
He's got no. I'll just get him to play Skyrim. That should be enough.
I'm already angry. I'm gonna have when Grounded 1.0 comes out. I'm gonna have to fucking play with arachnophobia mode off because I'm already not looking forward to that.
Why are you doing that?
So I can get past my fucking what's the word? Yeah,
it's great therapy.
My very irrational fear of things with it, like
shock therapy, bruh. Shock therapy. It works wonders.
Like Jubei, don't you remember Tobal?
Who?
Tobal #1, old PlayStation fighting game that like doubled as a fighting game and an adventure game.
I do not. No, I didn't play it.
And then because I think it was made by Square, and they went on to make was it Energy's or whatever?
Yeah, I remember that game.
Which was like the first time I had seen Cloud and Tifa and Sephiroth outside of the Final Fantasy setting.
The game was trash.
It was horrible, but like we could remake it to be better.
Yeah, like for example, the idea of a remake as well. Like for me, the biggest for me personally, because like when we think of because when I turn around and say that, like when I said that horror is no longer a niche market, for me that was kind of like exacerbated. Like for me, it's not been a niche market for years. And the point I can turn around and say that it stopped really being a niche market is just like not many good horror games came out was Dead Space. Because
I love Dead Space. You know I hate horror games, but I love Dead Space.
Exactly. And then fucking Dead Space 2 sold even fucking more. Yeah, it might have been
the only Dead Space game I don't like is 3.
I like 3, but again, co-op. It really.
I don't like 3.
Co-op really does change that game. But yeah, like 2, you can make the argument that it is a little less horror, but I turn around and say, oh yeah, it's a little less horror, but it's a lot more fucked up. Because like Dead Space 2, yeah, you had mutated like clone babies or some shit on the Ishimura.
It was the psychological aspect of 2 for me. Like it wasn't that it was gorgeous. It was just like this is fucked.
But 2, you immediately set the tone when you see a woman inside of a fucking child's nursery trying to call over her necromorphed fucking baby, who then jumps into her arms and then fucking explodes her fucking insides to her outside and onto the window. Like, that, for me, sets the tone for how fucked that game was.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
God,
exactly.
what an experience. Yeah, that game was an
You know
experience.
what I want?
But my point is, like, you look at it, and then PT was a fucking phenomenon. Like, it's bullshit that fucking Silent Hills got cancelled, but like just the trailer alone just the playable teaser was a fucking phenomenon. Like, it shows that the genre isn't niche, which I feel like a lot of these developers, when they look back at these series that they have, like Siren, for example, they're like, oh, but horror games don't sell well. And I'm like, bitch, please, good horror games sell fucking tons. Hopefully, that'll be proved by the remake of Dead Space. I'm hoping
Calypso Protocol.
The what?
Yeah.
Calypso,
I think
dude, I'm so looking forward to that. That is basically fucking Dead Space from everything I've seen of it, and I love it. And I love it. I need it.
By the way, anyone here misses the Lost Planet?
I remember Lost Planet. The problem
they fucked it up with 3.
To be fair, here's the thing. I like
That's
Lost
another
Planet.
series where I hated every game. Well, I hated the third game. Like, I liked the first two. The third game was garbage.
I'll say this: I liked Lost Planet 1, but I don't think it was a good game. A great game. Like, I think it was an okay game. I don't think it was anything special. Like, it was alright, but you know,
they fucked it up with 3. Microtransaction and stuff.
It's EA. They fuck up everything with the third game. But yeah, like, my point is, again, I feel like we've come to an understanding that remakes, even though we can turn around and say we're sick of remakes, like, we are seemingly sick of remakes of unnecessary remakes. We're sick of unnecessary remakes.
Yeah.
Not only that, we sick of remakes that don't.
We gotta miss the game before we get a remake.
Not only that, we're sick of remakes that don't do that don't that there are how do you say that cut crap in a way, but they don't put too much energy effort to them.
Like the Medieval remake.
I didn't play it.
I was asking for Medieval to get remade.
Here's the thing, though. Medieval is Here's the thing. Medieval is one of those where it goes back to the thing of you don't know what you want.
You know what? Yeah, let me rescind my statement. I still think it's a silly game, but you're right, Dante. You're absolutely right. Because if it came out and it was fire, I'd be like, guys, this game is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I would rather got a Maximo remake.
Maximo would have been great. Yes.
Would not want that game at all.
Like, here's the thing. Like, it's because it also is a case of, like, at the time we didn't know we needed silly, fun mascot platformers. Then we got Crash Insane Trilogy, and everybody was like, "Yay!" And then Medieval came out, and it could have been the same thing. It could have reinvigorated the Medieval series, but the problem was the remake sucked. It really did. Like, it barely fixed anything, and seemingly added more fucking problems.
We got Crash 4. Do we know how much it sold?
Crash 4 sold decently, but again, Toys for Bob was then put on Call of Duty because, you know, Activision.
Them days are almost over.
Activision, but this was before the whole Activision situation, right?
It sold, in its first week, it sold 402,000 copies digitally. In comparison...
That's pretty nice.
What?
Digitally is pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, and that's an Insane Trilogy sold 100,000 more, but that was later. But again, no, I heard it sold decently, but again, it's a case of immediately after, instead of trying to capitalize or turn around and saying we're going to keep the series going, we are committed to this. They immediately put Toys for Bob on the fucking Call of Duty series. Toys for fucking Bob on the Call of Duty series. Are you fucking serious?
Dead serious.
They should do an Army Man remake.
A what?
Yes.
Army Man.
Yes.
The Army Man, rather. Yeah.
Army,
you don't.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, but yeah, again, you gotta kind of go into licensing issues there.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if the powers that be can hear this,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
want it.
yeah. I get you.
Also,
But like,
that's for Dante. Remake Gex. I want 4K Gex.
Let's get Gex. There's some classics. But I'll take Mischief Makers, but I don't know how that would translate to now.
But again, like I said, we're bringing up all these series, and we're clearly again. How long was it between God of War and God of War Ragnarok?
God of War came 2018.
For 4 years.
4 years. So you tell.
Yeah.
So again, my point is there's like a time slot
That'd be
there.
fine.
There's a time slot there. Like you could have like a small team at Santa Monica. Small team again. Like I said, they could throw the resources at it if the project picks up. You tell.
You're playing with fire when you do something like that, because then the quality is gonna suffer.
No, but the problem, Omar, the problem is you turn around and saying that like all of the team is working on the game all at once. That's what I'm trying to say. Like you could have, like for example, a lot of games back from the NES and even games from the Super Nintendo, hell, even PlayStation games were done by devs on their free time or were done while they had off time. Like,
that's why I keep saying it. The desire has to be there.
Yeah.
That's why I keep saying it.
Yeah. But I'm also turning around and saying that the desire could be there. They just can't turn around and say, oh, it's just like this lowly fucking programmer can't turn around and say, hey, I want to start doing a fucking Dino Crisis model. And he can't just turn up and say that. So it'd be nice to it would be, what how I would approach it is like I'd turn around and say to I'd go down to the studio, I'd be like, who wants to work on a Dino Crisis remake? And I'd see how many hands were up, and I'd be like, okay, you, in your free time, if you want, start working on something. If you can throw me a proof of concept, don't let it interfere with your normal work, but throw me together a proof of concept. If it works and we approve of it, we'll throw more resources at you. Because again, it's not like these companies don't have the ability to throw resources at it. Because here's the thing as well, when you turn around and say, oh, quality goes down, all of these studios work on each other's games anyway. So it's not like you can't. It's not like somebody from Santa Monica Studios can't turn around to someone at Naughty Dog and say, you guys are not. You're not working on anything currently. Could you throw me up a code to make this dude be able to jump 50 feet in the air and make it look realistic? Gotcha. Like, all these studios work together anyway.
And not for nothing. The big three have an absorbent amount of money. Kick out the extra cash to pay the people what they need to make the things. Right? Don't be stingy with your money over.
The whole point of this is to get money in, not spend it. So they have to justify that spending, which sucks.
Which is why I turned around and said that, like, it's not like they can't turn around and say that, for example, get a small team working on it, and if it's showing real good promise, you could throw more resource at it. But if it's not, you can cut your losses and put them back on work on a major title that's going to recoup those losses and then some. Do you know what I mean?
We should have never got Bleeding Edge. I'm just going to say that.
We should have never.
Passion product into your mouth.
FC will still defend that game to his dying breath. Bleeding Edge.
Yeah, the game is.
Hey, he enjoyed it. You know, he enjoyed it.
He did. It scratched a particular itch he had, but
it wasn't good.
It's not.
Listen. There's a difference between a phantom itch and herpes. He was scratching the itch for herpes. That's what he was scratching with that game. Back in the day, Naughty Dog helped Insomniac Games with Ratchet and Clank and vice versa. Exactly. Like, studios help each other. Like, I mean, for
I'm aware of that.
Or how? Naughty Dog, I mean, it's just Uncharted again, but like Naughty Dog, just remake Pitfall. Remake Pitfall, Harry. and just go about it that way. Like it's just Uncharted again, but that's
But
in your
that's
wheelhouse.
Uncharted.
You don't even got to work hard.
Uncharted is the remake of Pitfall,
Yeah.
just with less alligators.
And plus, again, it also goes towards something I've said before. Because like they and obviously PlayStation or Sony has been buying a lot of these like enhancement studios, we'll call them studios that are there to help other studios. Again, you telling me that like a small team from Naughty Dog who were doing jack shit but sitting on their hands can't turn around and say, okay, Sony can't turn around and say to them, all right, I want you working with this other studio, and I want you to do a proof of concept remake of Jack and Dexter. That's what those enhancement studios are for. Or again, going back to something I've previously said once before, make a new fucking studio. I mean, for fuck's sake, they shut down Studio Japan. Like, you shut down Studio Japan, but then go on the fucking shopping spree and buy Bungie. So what the fuck was the point in shutting down Japan Studio?
To save up money for the Gravity Rush movie, apparently.
All right, has anybody else got anything they want to say on this little discussion?
Bring back Vigilante 8. That was a good one.
I need to think. Bring back the Siren series. It'd be nice to see another Japanese horror. Again, funny thing is, there's nothing scratching the itch of Japanese horror games out there anymore. Not really.
I need Power Stone 2, and Skies of Arcadia, and I'll be happy.
Ooh, Skies of Arcadia.
I need a new Okami.
Cutting deep with Skies of Arcadia. Oh man, you hit my soul with that one. How could you do that to me?
I wanna fight that giant squid in 4K, bro. I'm ready.
His body is ready. All right. Well then, I guess Legend of Dragoon remake. Fucking keep dreaming. All right, I guess we'll get to the outro. So, Jubei, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Jubei X Sensei on gaming platforms if I decide to play something this week. Don't know. We'll see how this week checks out. You can find me at Jubei Sensei everywhere else except for Twitter, because that's Ambu Smokage. You can find me at Jubei X Sensei on Twitch. Yeah. Challenge me to a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You might get embarrassed.
Possibly. Farrell, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Pharaoh Bizarre, and anywhere you like to watch streamers at The Land of Pharaoh.
All right, Omar, where can people find you?
People can find me at Paramount Podcast on Twitter, and Anime Squad 5 p.m. every Friday, and Game Player every Saturday 5 p.m. same time. Get out to the panel, hit the like button, and see you next week.
All right, people can find me at Dante Crisis on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, DLive, and the Dante Crisis on Facebook, because some bastard took fucking Dante Crisis on Facebook. Streaming weekdays from 4 p.m. GMT time. I think that's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. No, that's 12 a.m. 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe. Zero, where can people find you? But more importantly, where can people find us on the podcast?
Well, guys, as always, it's been an absolute blast to hang out with you guys. Very fun conversation, especially with the last one regarding all the things in our wish list that hopefully Santa Claus or whoever you believe in who delivers gifts on your respective holidays delivers to us this holiday season. But you can, of course, find me 0.exe or 0x386, PlayStation, Twitter, all socials, playing Yakuza, or jump on and play Rumbleverse with me, or some multiverses. Always a good time. But of course, more importantly, you can find us, Vitamin G Podcast, pretty much everywhere where you listen to all your other favorite podcasts. And I am so happy that we are included in that list because, of course, guys, you literally could be doing anything else, but you decided to listen to us. So we always appreciate that. And I would be remiss to not say that even though we always come together on this Monday, we always separate and do our own thing. So please support the panel as the host. So always support Dante throughout the week. You have not listed the games you're going to play because I think some of them are secret, correct? So just tune in, check in. I missed the GTFO stream today, but I'll be back in
I'll be playing
definitely
Wednesday.
sometime this week. Please check out Jubei. I wouldn't recommend playing against him in Yu-Gi-Oh, but like if you feel like you've got a heart of the cards, go ahead and go
If you
for
feel
it.
like if you feel like a first class trip to the Shadow Realm, go right for it.
Yeah, go for it. Chances are though, you're a third-rate duelist with a fourth-rate
Cards,
deck.
no, 2 cards and scoop.
Gonna be a lot of scoop phases. I also would not recommend challenging Pharaoh in the new Madden 23. It probably won't go over well for you, but if you do, please check him out at Pharaoh Bazaar or Land Pharaoh. But what I do recommend is that you engage Omar in conversation with anime, particularly One Piece, because that is definitely his favorite. You can certainly do that on Fridays at 5 p.m. with Anime Squad, or check out his other gaming podcast, Game Slayer, also 5 p.m. on Saturdays. And as always, guys, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening to us. And remake Vanguard Bandits. Let's bring that back.
Always going for classics. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, to keep it gaming. Okay, we out of here. Peace.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside.